was thinking, it ain't running. Good morning, friends.
Morning.
Good to be here. I want to start us off this morning with a quote from George Fox that you could probably say along with me. I saw also that there was an ocean of darkness and death, but an infinite ocean of light and love, which flowed over the ocean of darkness. And I also want to read a quotation from someone I have to say I've never considered quoting before, is Christopher Reeve, who you know as an actor, an author, and Superman, who was also became a paraplegic. At some time, often when we least expect it, we all have to face overwhelming challenges. When the unthinkable happens, the lighthouse is hope. Once we find it, we must cling to it with absolute determination. When we have hope, we discover powers within ourselves we may never know, may never have known. The power to make sacrifices, to endure, to heal, and to love. Once we choose hope, everything is possible. I think all of you would agree with me that it's hard to look anywhere beyond your nose these past few days and not see the unthinkable in action. And it doesn't begin or end with the Palestinian-Israeli atrocities that have been exchanged. We can go back a few weeks, a few months, a year, back almost 3 years to January 6, 2021, when the unthinkable was an attempted coup on our nation's capital. Back nearly 4 years to a global health crisis and shutdown. Back in time to unprecedented murders, unparalleled behaviors, and unthinkable violence. These days, it feels as though the unthinkable has become mainstream, a dominant force in a world grown numb to cruelty and viciousness. Our compassion receptors are frazzled from the endless stream of daily, unthinkable events. At several levels, I feel like we've entered the era of unthinkable. Reality is, though, that the unthinkable has been an integral part of human civilization as far back as we can trace. It's human nature to creatively consider what might be a solution that may also be unthinkable. Before December of 1903, it was unthinkable that humans could create a machine that was capable of flying in the air and landing with people on board. And that was true until the Wright brothers proved otherwise. And then less than 20 years before that, before the Wright brothers took their flight, the same was said about the possibility of motorized land machines that would carry human beings. At least that was before Carl Benz designed and drove the first gas-powered engine automobile, which was aptly patented Model Number 1. And that was in the 1800s, unthinkable. Jump forward about 6 or 7 decades, and the thought that humans could not only land on the surface of the moon, but walk around on it and drive a golf ball on it, even plant a flag on it, and then return to Earth to tell about it. That was absolutely unthinkable. Yet today we've exceeded that unthinkable with spacecraft that readily shuttle people back and forth through space, private and public. We ooh and ah over the photos that we see from the Hubble satellite telescope and the Webb Deep Space Telescope. Brilliant pictures of galaxies 29 billion light years away to what scientists call the beginning of time. That's unthinkable to me. We gasp at the unthinkable but confirmed existence of 100 billion galaxies, and gasp again to ponder the ever increasing estimate of another 70 billion that are yet to be discovered. I think of Sagan saying billions and billions of stars. Until the Second World War, which in and of itself was unthinkable, it was unthinkable for a woman to work outside the home after marriage. Her employment was considered a disgrace to her husband, as if he was a poor provider. According to the Brookings Institute, only 20% of women who could possibly work in the early 1900s were employed, and only 5% of that were married women. In addition, less than 2% of 18 to 24-year-olds in the turn of the century were enrolled in some kind of higher education. Less than 2%. And less than a third of that 2% were women. So to be an educated working woman before the 1940s was unthinkable. And now I think it's almost unthinkable that you're not an educated working woman. The unleashed power contained within an atom, and its very real ability to kill hundreds of thousands of people in a single flash was and is still unthinkable. In fact, I have read that Einstein wished he had never discovered that power. What's even more unthinkable is that there's an estimated 187 million deaths due to global conflict since the beginning of the 19th century or the 20th century. And the unthinkable, even more so, is that's considered significantly understated. 187 million. It's said that every country that has existed or even exists now was formed as a result of war. You'd think that humanity would get the message that domination over people only leads to increasing and violence and vitriol, and not viable resolutions and long-lived remedies. So just from these few examples, I think it's pretty clear at this point that human existence is woven with threads of the unthinkable. It's how we use our creative powers to solve problems. By what means the unthinkable resolves our challenges and difficulties, that's completely up to us as humans. Standing here today in a mire of unthinkable, in this era of the unthinkable, how are we to live our daily lives? What do we do every day? How do we deal with this seeming drowning in the ocean of darkness as unthinkable becomes overwhelming? I have a solution I'd like to offer, and you're going to say it's unthinkable. We must do the unthinkable. We must believe the unbelievable and envision the unforeseeable. What if I were to ask you to imagine a world, maybe just this universe or half of the billions, a world filled with peace, a world where there's unity in diversity, a world where all are well fed, well clothed, well sheltered, and engaged in meaningful ways. A world where no country, no government, no tribe, no religion, no individual holds power over or dominion over any other being or nature, but instead stands in power with and in collaboration and cooperation with all others. What would be your response to my request? It might be like my own answer to my question. Are you kidding? A world like that? That's unthinkable. I think American statesman J. William Fulbright got it right when he said, "We must dare to think unthinkable thoughts. We must learn to explore all the options and possibilities that confront us in a complex and rapidly changing world." And that was in the 70s. People nowadays get paid to think up the unthinkable. If you think about Apple and technology. To use George Fox's terms, it's up to us who believe in that inner light to constantly look for and swim in the ocean of infinite love. When it comes to imagining this kind of unthinkable world, one where peace and love and joy and hope are the norm, the words ascribed to Jesus in the Christian passage of John 10:10 comes to my mind. I have come that you might have life and live it more abundantly. I don't think that was a lie. As we seek to live our inner light to its fullest, we might also kind of change up what Jesus was saying to us. I have come that you might have peace and live peace more abundantly. I've come that you might have love and love more abundantly. I've come that you might have hope and hope more abundantly. I've come that you might have my light within you to shine it more abundantly. It's up to us to meet unprecedented murders, unparalleled behaviors, and unthinkable violence with unprecedented hope, unparalleled visions, unthinkable love, and unending prayers with absolute determination. The ocean of darkness is always going to be present. It's part of who we are. It's part of the choices we make as human beings. But that doesn't mean we have to swim in it. It is our focus on and our determined devotion to the ocean of infinite love and light that will guide us and inspire us And when we find ourselves swimming in the ocean of darkness, we have to remember, take a few backstrokes to the ocean of light. It is that love that will lead us, like a lighthouse, to ways of using our own creative gifts for good in this era of the unthinkable. And so it is.